Welcome back to another discussion video, and right before I get into it, thank you guys. You have all been incredibly positive about this new video format, and it makes me a happy boy. Let's get into the video. Now, if I were to ask most people what they felt the weakest killer in Dead by Daylight is, most would probably say like Trapper, Myers, something like that. In the current state of the game, you would be correct, but what if I told you there was a killer so incredibly bad, he was changed nearly immediately? Not just simple number buffs, but they had to change how his in-game mechanics worked. You all saw the thumbnail, I'm talking about Ghostface. We're going to have to go 5 years back for this little tale. In the year of our Lord's 2019, everything around this killer was handled very poorly. Building up to the chapter, he didn't get any proper build-up. If any of you have been playing DBD for maybe about a year, you know the leaks are fairly common for Dead by Daylight. No leaks have anything on Ghostface's. Oh, it can't be that bad, you might be thinking. Oh, it's worse. Not only was Ghostface leaked, he wasn't leaked in ways like, oh yeah, there's a Ghostface chapter coming. No, he just had every single one of his animations leaked, and on top of that, we got a description of his power, his actual killer power. We knew how this character was going to play nearly a month before he released, and that is not even all of it. We had actual gameplay of Ghostface in action. Now, for a bit of positive news, it was all received very positively. There's that keyword positive. From the descriptions we had seen, everyone was excited for this character. He sounded pretty cool. Lots of immersive qualities. He still played like he does today, having a crouch, being able to lean, and the need to spot him. So it was pretty fun for Survivor and Killers, at least it sounded like it was going to be. Everyone was pretty happy with the stuff we had heard and seen. This was until his PTB came out about a month later. Nearly everything about this killer played similarly, but there was a key factor that was different. If you are familiar with how Ghostface works, he enters a stealth mode. From the stealth mode, he can stalk individual survivors and down them once fully stalked. However, Ghostface can be knocked out of this stealth mode if a survivor stares at him. Nearly since his release, Ghostface has worked as so. You have to line Ghostface up in the middle of your screen to knock him out of it. Not in the PTB. For his PTB, he could be anywhere on the screen, and the time to knock him out of it wasn't nearly as long, so optimal Survivor gameplay looked like this. This is just what they would do. You may not like it, but this is optimal peak Survivor performance. Once he's exposed, he would have like this little white flash similar to how it works now, so it was pretty easy to spot him as well. Of course, he has a tear radius at this point as well. This meant that Ghostface power was essentially just crouching with the occasional smallest bit of stealth. As long as the survivors were rotating their camera though, there was just no way this killer would ever get his power off. Not to mention, Ghostface was ridiculously loud. Dude's wings flapped louder than Michael's elephant feet. Of course, the buff button was hit so ridiculously fast by behavior, by the time the character came out, the lining up stock mechanic was added, making him much better, and his noise was reduced a bit as well. The character would get more buffs as time went on, such as his base cooldown being decreased by a very large amount, and now we have a killer that's actually playable. But that does raise a certain question, doesn't it? How could we go from actually seeing the gameplay of Ghostface and then being like, oh yeah, that actually looks great, to, well, what we ended up getting for that PTB? There's a key thing that sort of took place when they showed off, well, I say show off, this was simple test footage from developers actually testing Ghostface. And that's the developers thinking how people are going to play the game versus how people actually end up playing the game. So for the Ghostface gameplay, I couldn't find it anywhere, but I remember it clear as day. It was on Leary's. And on Leary's, there was a Ghostface who was stalking the survivor. He went into stealth mode, and we saw him build up the meter, and the survivor became exposed, and, you know, the person was hit, and it looked super cool. Now, what we couldn't see from the gameplay was how to break Ghostface out of it exactly, because, of course, they had it. It was like sort of testing, so they had the survivor looking in a completely different direction, so we didn't get all the pieces of the puzzle. I just think it's really cool when certain gameplay elements are done right, but because of how people actually play video games, they have to be changed, because people love finding the most optimal strategies and then just running with that, because people want to win. I think the biggest thing I can really think of is Texas Chainsaw, with how victims actually played. It was looking to be and expected to be more of an immersive experience. But then you have people in the basement with victims being like, no, I'm actually going to rush completely and I'm getting out of here like I'm late for dinner. And my wife, ooh, she's got a steaming pile of mashed potatoes and gravy. I'm not missing that. But on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, sometimes people also like to not win. Something that was also not intentional was Burger King Myers. I'm not going to get super in depth on this because this is a Ghostface video. We can go into Burger King Myers in another video. But if you don't know, basically people would put two add-ons together that would make Myers slower than Survivors. I mean, it was free wins for Survivors. It's interesting though that despite it being like, a free victory for Survivors, it was still changed. It was still tweaked because it wasn't something that the developers intended. And that ends our little DBD history lesson on Ghostface, one of the biggest horror stories DBD has. If you enjoyed, please do leave a like. If we get to 500 likes, we'll cover Burger King Myers. It helps me out a lot as well. Who do you think is the worst killer DBD has? Let me know. Until next time, friends, stay safe in the fog.